West Asia, meanwhile, is descending upon China. I know it sounds dramatic, so I'll explain. Beijing is hosting 6 West Asian foreign ministers this week, 4 from the Gulf Cooperation Council, or the GCC, and then we have Iran and Turkey. So 5 days, 6 ministers. It's going to be a hectic week of diplomacy. First to arrive was the Gulf delegation. They reached on Monday. The foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain and Oman. We wanted to show you their pictures, but we couldn't find any. With all the hype around this summit, I'm sure China could have hired a photographer. Well, jokes aside, this is a big diplomatic coup for them. Why is that? Because the Gulf has always been America's playing field. Trade, security, strategy, everything has been dictated by the Americans. So what does China want from them? First, what everyone wants from the Gulf, which is oil. China has invested millions in the oil wells of Central Asia, but what happened in Kazakhstan has spooked them. What if instability dries up the oil? So Beijing wants to keep the Gulf tap running. And 2, they want strategic influence. The Arabian Peninsula is a key part of the Belt and Road Initiative. China needs the Gulf nations to implement its grand project. If that happens, they could replace the US in West Asia. And that is the ultimate goal. But why is the Gulf playing along? For starters, who else is buying oil these days? The world is moving rapidly towards renewable energy. America does not import oil anymore. They sell it, in fact. So who's left among the big players? China, they buy 1/6 of all oil produced by the GCC. 1/6. Plus, there's trade and investment. China is the GCC's biggest trading partner. In the year 2000, China-GCC trade was abysmal, around $10 billion. That's all, $10 billion. By 2016, it rose to $115 billion. China is also building some big-ticket projects in the Gulf, like the Dukm Special Economic Zone in Oman, the Jazan Petrochemical Plant in Saudi Arabia, the Khalifa Industrial Zone in Abu Dhabi. These are multi-billion-dollar projects. The Gulf nations realize that China is offering something that America does not want to: money and involvement. And that second bit, involvement, is becoming crucial. You see, the GCC nations are rivals of Iran. And guess who has excellent ties with Iran? China. China and Iran have signed a 25-year cooperation agreement. So the Gulf is hoping that China will exercise some of that clout to sign a nuclear deal, to end Iran's proxy wars, to bring peace, or a compromise at least. And this is a big shift for the Gulf nations. They have always seen America as the godfather and China as the bank. But that perception is slowly changing. The Gulf nations see the Americans pivoting to the Pacific. So they are looking elsewhere too. Having said that, replacing the US is not going to be easy. Why is that? Because the US had a 70-year head start. Take weapons trade, for instance. The US makes up 73% of Saudi arms imports. China is not even in the picture. Britain is second with 13%. So going from banker to godfather will not be easy, and China realizes this. If you want to know what Beijing is thinking, just read their state media. Well, that's what we did. The Global Times is calling this visit unprecedented. They say it could lead to a free trade agreement. So once again, China is putting economic clout first. They believe that political influence will follow. As for the Gulf nations, you can see why they like this deal. A buyer for their oil, an investor to diversify their economy, and no lectures on human rights. Well, what more could you ask for? China is trying to do what the US never could: build a partnership with all West Asian nations. Just look at their schedule this week. The Gulf foreign ministers have already arrived. The Turkish foreign minister will reach on Wednesday. The Iranian foreign minister on Friday. That is the allure of Chinese money. They've got everyone on board. And this should be a wake-up call for the Americans. They've taken West Asia for granted. They've tried to arm twist Gulf countries into keeping China away. But for that, they must offer alternatives. China has nothing to lose in this fight. Historically, the Gulf was never their forte. But for the US, it's all or nothing. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.